May I come in, sir?
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
बैठो अब्दुल्ला बैठो Please, you may like to introduce yourself to all of us.
My name is Muhammad Abdullah. I am from Bhimar Kashmir, and my mother's name is Rubina Shaheen. She's a housewife. My father's name is Nasir Ahmed. He's a chef by profession in Barcelona, Spain. And so I am younger to one sibling. His name is Captain Ali Raza. He's currently serving as instructor in Quetta Infantry School. And so I've done my graduation in English Literature and Linguistics from Namal, Islamabad. And so I have been debater since my school life. I have participated in multiple English declamation contests at regional, national, and international level. And so my hobbies include playing chess, table tennis, writing poetry, and fitness. And in my humble capacity, I have also been a volunteer teacher at a Namal outreach program with the name of Chirag-e-Badr for the children who couldn't afford education. And I was a volunteer teacher there, sir.
Thank you. So you're competing for the Pakistan Civil Services.
Sir.
Please introduce Pakistan to all of us. What is your understanding of Pakistan?
So Pakistan is a country located in South Asia and with diverse cultures. It has 4 provinces and it is located on a very strategic location. I would go as far as to say at the crossroads of interests of major powers. And so there are multiple ethnicities residing in Pakistan. For example, Punjabis, Balochis, Pashtuns, Kashmiris. And so it is a country rich with natural resources.
What is the population of Pakistan?
So around, I would say 230 million.
Issues between Pakistan and Afghanistan because they are not happy with each other.
So first of all, there are border issues with Afghanistan. As before US withdrawal, we started demarcation of borders. We started border fencing with Afghanistan, and then now there are rising concerns that those borders are not justified from Afghanistan. And also we have been facing some diplomatic tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan, because whenever it came to Afghanistan, Pakistan has always been walking a tightrope of optimism and caution. Secondly, sir, there are multiple terrorist outfits which are residing in Afghanistan, and Pakistan has serious concerns regarding those, as they can instill instability from the land of Afghanistan towards Pakistan. Apologies, sir. There is another point that there is the repatriation of Afghan refugees. That Pakistan has recently started to send back those, they call them aliens, the refugees, as the situation in Afghanistan has been normalized. Now the refugees that came into Pakistan like a decade or 2 ago, they had to be sent back. And this sudden refugee influx, repatriation has Afghan government at heels with us.
Red Sea.
Sir.
There is a war. Americans, they are attacking Yemeni Houthis.
Sir.
What is the length of Red Sea? And which are the countries which are sharing this Red Sea? Right and left, north and south.
So if I were to guess, that would be Syria, Yemen.
Syria to nahi hai, Yemen hai. What do you think Pakistan is facing economic challenges? What type of challenges we are facing?
So the economic instability in Pakistan has been rising for quite some time, as we have been dependent on IMF loans and bailout packages. Secondly, I believe this economic instability is due to that Pakistan has a reduced industrial base. We are relying more on imports rather than imports. So this is affecting greatly towards our economic progress. If I talk about solving this issue, then that would be, there is another issue that there is quite a brain drain in Pakistan. The youth of Pakistan is moving abroad. So we have a deficiency of efficient youth. and the contribution of that youth in Pakistan is reducing day by day. So I think that is leading more towards the economic instability in Pakistan.
What are the functions of International Court of Justice?
So the functions of International Court of Justice is it is one of the main components of United Nations. The function can be, if I talk about the jurisdiction of ICJ, that would be if there is a problem between two parties, conflicting parties, states, they can go to ICJ to resolve their problem. Secondly, if there is a violation of treaty from one party towards another, then that they can also approach ICJ. It is actually necessary for the maintenance of peace between the states and resolving their conflicts.
How do you see the future of democracy in Pakistan?
So, as turbulent as it seems, I believe with time the democracy will be resolved. But
historical facts to hai na?
Sir, I believe so. Democracy can prevail, but the vested parties, they need to take a step back because putting in mind the historical facts, I believe there has been a lot of outside intervention in the democratic processes, even if it comes to election process or the powers of the government. And I believe if those vested parties, it's a bit controversial topic from my side.
Both sides, you can tell me the pros and cons. Always.
Sir,
this is how you feel. There are criticism, hai na?
Sir.
Healthy criticism. Everybody can speak about his mind.
Sir, sir, I believe the democracy can flourish if we talk from the side of the constitution. According to my analysis, what I believe is that we have been provided with political rights in our constitution. We have always been talking about the political rights, but the fundamental rights of provision of welfare, those have not been clearly enumerated in constitution. For example, we have the right of speech, right of freedom, freedom of expression, right of religion. But when it comes to having proper welfare from the state, we are lacking in that aspect, sir.
How do you see the role of social media? Futuristic approach kya hai aapki social media? Do you think they are polluting the situation?
Sir, when it comes to social media, I believe social media has been used as a tool for propaganda, and even when it comes to the politics, it is, I think, fueling, adding fuel to the fire when it comes to the hostile politics of the Pakistan, where each party do not see other as a rival but as a competitor, and in order to dethrone them and take the throne for themselves, and then fall victim to the same issues that the other party has been facing. So I believe social media has been playing somewhat of a negative role, but it can also be used positively. For example, when we talk about the digital democracy, we see that the concerns of parties can be addressed on this platform effectively if it is used in the right way.
Thank you. Please.
US history. Which parts of US history or what events of US history have impressed you most and why?
The one part that I would like to mention is the American Civil War, where two conflicting ideals, the divide of the North and South, in which the states were divided into 15 Union states and 11 Confederate states. I believe that was a fascinating study for me because even there was a war on one side wanted constitutional approval of slavery, while the other side wanted constitutional abolition of slavery. How that process evolved America into the United States of America, I think that part was quite fascinating to me.
Any other? What about Boston Tea Party?
Boston Tea Party was in retaliation to they called it Tea of Slavery. It was a retaliation to the exploitatory acts of British government on American colonies. and there were three ships, Beaver, Eleanor, and Dartmouth, that came to the port in Boston. And in retaliation, they called it the tea of slavery, and it was actually a cry of revolution that we won't accept these acts anymore. So they threw all that tea in the river and celebrated as a significant moment of history.
You say your weakness, get frustrated if someone doesn't fulfill their commitment.
So
That is, you see, that applies to also to any other person. I will also be I'll also get frustrated if someone doesn't honor his commitment. So how can it be your weakness? This is natural.
sir,
This is natural. You see, I'll get frustrated if you don't honor your commitment. I'll get frustrated. So how can it be your weakness?
one of my strengths is that I'm very punctual, and I always fulfill my commitments. So I believe I believe it to be inconsiderate on the part of the other person that he or she is not fulfilling their commitment. I believe this is the basic discipline that all of us must maintain.
Overspending on books. You got it as your weakness, overspending on books.
Sir, I tend to spend too much while buying books.
That should be your strength.
Books and food, sir. Both.
How many eras of English literature have been there?
So primarily there have been, I would say four to five, sir. If we exclude the postmodernism and those eras. So there was a medieval period. So then there was Augustan period, and there was Victorian period, Romantic period, and then if you include the modernism, then there was modernism period.
From your point of view, which one you regarded as your favorite or the best from your point of view?
So I would say it was Romantic period, sir. So because if we talk about even if William Wordsworth, the poetic diction of Wordsworth, we include all the other poetry in classical literature. So when we talk about classical literature, the word classical suggests that it was referring to a proper class. There was a certain class of people which used to enjoy that poetry. And then the Wordsworth introduced his concept of poetic diction, that poetry should be for the sake of poetry. It should be for the common people in the language of people. So all of them can enjoy the essence of literature. So I believe that was quite interesting.
What are the determinants of our foreign policy?
So when we talk about determinants of foreign policy, I would say it is the elements of national power basically serve as the determinants of foreign policy. It is the strategic location, it is the perception of the adversaries, it is the territorial integrity, it is the sovereignty of a state. All of these fall into the category of determinants of foreign policy.
Define public policy.
So public policy can be a whole framework on which you have to come up with certain a committees formed, or in any organization or even in government, they have to come up with suggestions or recommendations regarding a certain matter which is in presence, and then
That is formulation part of it, but exactly how it is defined. How can you define it? Okay, just forget that. How policies are conceived, formed, and implemented.
So first of all, the executive part, they come up with a problem. Whenever a problem is presented, the executive part, they come up with the solution, recommendations or suggestions regarding the solution of that problem, and then it is presented in the legislative, and then the whole policy is formulated. There are basically three steps. It is the formulation, implementation, and then evaluation of a policy. These three steps are carried out.
What are the issues in the implementation? It is said that policies, they are implemented, but they are not fully implemented. They are left halfway.
So I would I would divide my answer into 2 points. The first point would be that before the implementation of a policy, the pilot testing is not done. Pilot testing is not done. There is not a sample group which is it is not tested in a specific area, and then the loopholes are not evaluated in order to implement it on a larger
Can you
scale.
name any public policy of our country that was fully implemented and successfully implemented?
Welcome to CSPs Academy for CSS PMS preparation. CSS PMS तहरीरी इम्तिहान के तमाम मज़ामीन की ऑनलाइन और ऑन कैंपस तैयारी के साथ साथ सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्शन, असाइनमेंट चेकिंग, क्लास टेस्ट, मॉक एग्जाम, इंडिविजुअल टीचर डिस्कशन और फीडबैक सेशन का इनकाद किया जाएगा। इसके अलावा FPSC की तजवीज़ करदा बुक्स से बने मयारी नोट्स और CSP पब्लिशर की बेहतरीन बुक्स मुहैया की जाएंगी।
Abdullah, what is the difference between foreign policy and diplomacy?
Ma'am, foreign policy is actually a set of documented, undocumented, covert, overt set of you can say rules or policies when concerning relation of one state towards another. When it comes to diplomacy, diplomacy would be how you carry out that foreign policy with other states.
Recently, India is using what we call state-sponsored terrorism through its raw agents in killing Sikh leaders in different parts of the world, including Canada, USA, UK, and recently there have been killings in Pakistan also of people of Kashmiri affiliation. How do you define that as a policy, and what would international law say about it?
Ma'am, when it comes to international law, whenever a state participates in such form of killings, I think it is called as state terrorism. When state participates in killing such actors which are a threat to their, which is a perceived threat towards the maintenance of the sovereignty of the state. So I believe when Sikh leaders are being killed, there is a question of territorial integrity, that they are separatist. They call it as separatist movements. So India is quite concerned regarding that. Similarly, in the case of Pakistan, as the Baloch separatist movement, we are also concerned about that. So whenever a state feels that something is going to harm the sovereignty or the territorial integrity of the state, they participate in such things. And I think when regarding international law,
You've almost answered it, but you've got confused. Yes, because you have to think that do they have the right to invade other countries' territorial integrity and
Yes, ma'am.
do killing of citizens who are no longer theirs? Recently there was a statement by the Foreign Office on this. Did you read it? Did you go through it?
Pakistan's Foreign Office?
Yes, the Foreign Secretary gave this statement. Playing chess is your hobby. Can you tell me where did chess originate?
Ma'am, I think it originated in the subcontinent.
Who are the chess champions of the world?
Currently, I think Magnus Carlsen holds that title of the Grand Chess Master. Yes.
You have also studied US history.
Yes, ma'am.
Keeping that in mind, what is your view on current position by Mr. Biden on support to Israel against Gaza?
Ma'am, I believe by the Biden administration, it is taking in account the stance of Israel that they want to have an ally in Middle East. In competition to Iran-backed groups in Middle East, such as Syria, Houthis in Yemen, and so. I think this will define their future, that how Middle East is going to shape itself. For example, it is these strategic decisions that matter the most when it comes to shaping the future of the countries, that who they choose to align themselves with, who wants to align with them, which wars do they fight, which they deter. I think these significant decisions play a major role in shaping their future. So when it comes to supporting Israel, I believe Biden administration is partaking in the genocide that Israel has been committing against Palestine. And this would create a strategic vacuum for countries like Iran, because countries like Iran, China, in the case of Iran and other Iran-backed groups, the Western powers, America has usually called them as axis of terrorists. But their current support to Israeli genocide, and it has changed the Western narrative. And it was a song, a Swedish song, Liebe Palestina, from 1970. We can see that protesters all around the world have been singing Liebe Palestina, long live Palestine. So I believe this would change the narrative that Iran, who are actually supporting the Palestine, who are actually supporting the victims, I believe it would change the narrative from which Iran proposes, that it is actually the axis of revolution. So I believe it would create a strategic vacuum for states like China and Iran to establish their influence in the Middle Eastern region. So I believe it would be very concerning for United States.
Thank you so much, Abdullah. Dr. Sir?
Thank you, ma'am. Abdullah, सब कॉन्टिनेंट में वहदतुल शहूद का फलसफा किसने इंट्रोड्यूस करवाया था?
वहदतुल शहूद, शेख अहमद सरहिंदी सर.
शेख अहमद सरहिंदी. बुल्ले शाह का कोई शेर सुना सकते हैं?
श्योर सर. सर बुल्ले शाह का एक शेर है दिल की सफाई पे. बुल्ले शाह रब ताइयों मिलदा, पाक होवे जे मोहल्ला दिलदा.
He belongs to which area in Punjab?
कसूर सर.
कसूर से. अच्छा. Okay, tell me that what was the structure of parliament under the Constitution of Pakistan 1962?
So I have limited knowledge regarding.
Okay, Cripps mission came to subcontinent in 1942. Can you tell me that on what reason it was rejected by both Indian National Congress and Muslim League? Okay, you read international relations.
Sir.
Treaty of Westphalia.
Sir.
What were the characteristics of Westphalian state system?
Sir, Treaty of Westphalia in 1848.
I know the history, characteristics of Westphalian state system.
So they introduced a nation-state system in which there were 5 principles.
It introduced nation-state system.
The concept of nation-state system, sir.
And
so there were actually 5.
So what contributed French Revolution in the international relations system?
It was actually a revolt towards the monarchy.
Okay. Can you tell me that what is the presumption of neoliberalism?
So neoliberalism states that there is anarchy in the international world.
How it could be cured?
It could be cured by pursuit of power politics, but for the attainment of common interests rather than national interests. I think this was the philosophy of neoliberalism, sir.
What was the motivating force behind the Civil War in America?
So motivating force was actually the divide between North and South.
Upon what issue?
Sir, as to quote Ulysses S. Grant, the cause of war was attributed to slavery. It was actually the issue of slavery.
And what was the stance of northern states?
So northern states wanted constitutional abolition of slavery.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's conclude this formal interview. Let's begin for personality. Communication skills are there, very fine. Knowledge level reasonable hai, intelligent or confidence bhi hai. Confidence comes with knowledge.
Sir.
Sitting posture is fine and voice का impact ठीक आता है. The short advice is कि भाई एक तो अपना introduction थोड़ा सा improve करो.
Sir.
Just go and write 1 pager for you.
Sir.
Okay, it was a conversation between you and the panel. It is a beginning.
Sir.
You must be able to sell yourself in the first
Sir.
half a minute. तो लिख लो ताकि फिर तुम्हें आसानी रहे कि व्हाट यू हैव टू से.
Sir.
ठीक है, 10 पेजेस लिखो अपने ऊपर, देन यू एक्सट्रैक्ट 1 पेज
Sir.
to be delivered in less than a minute. Try to bring yourself in a state of preparedness because you see this is an event of life. रोज रोज नहीं आएगा ये.
Sir.
तो अपने आप को एक ऐसी स्टेट ऑफ प्रिपेयर्डनेस में ले आओ. रोज अखबार देख रहे हो, मैगजीन देख रहे हो, लिटरेचर देख रहे हो,
Sir.
थिंग्स लाइक दैट. न्यूज़पेपर को बहुत फोकस करो.
Sir.
आजकल जो करंट न्यूज़पेपर में बेसिकली 3 महीने के अखबार रिव्यू करो.
Sir.
करंट अफेयर्स, उसमें इंटरनेशनल न्यूज़ देखो, करंट अफेयर्स देखो, सोशल न्यूज़, इकोनॉमिक इश्यूज, ये थोड़ा सा इनको आप अटेंड कर लें. नोटबुक, पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन जिस तरह करते हैं ना,
Sir.
तो देयर इज ए 1 स्लाइड एंड देयर आर 4-5 पॉइंट्स. तो इस किस्म के नोट्स बनाओ
Sir.
हर इश्यूज पे.
Sir.
तो उससे देन यू विल बी एबल टू रिमेन फोकस्ड. अगर एनर्जी क्राइसिस में बात हो रही है तो यू विल बी फोकस्ड कि उन इश्यूज पे बात करनी है.
Sir.
तो आज की असेसमेंट यही है. यू नीड टू वर्क हार्ड. यू हैव गॉट ए गुड चांस.
Sir.
आप सर बताएं सर.
ये देखो, पुलिस आपकी चॉइस है, लेकिन यू डिडंट नो एनीथिंग अबाउट पुलिस ऑर्डर. पुलिस जब आप लिखते हैं तो पुलिस ऑर्डर भी साथ जाकर पढ़ें या फिर इसको देखें. इसमें जो इसकी जो क्या प्रोविजंस हैं जिसमें पुलिस की वर्किंग को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए जो प्रपोजल्स दी हुई है, वो दोज शुड बी ऑन योर फिंगर टिप्स. ठीक है. और ये पॉलिसी भी इसको जाकर देखेंगे, पब्लिक पॉलिसी, इसके क्या डायलेमास हैं, इसकी फॉर्मुलेशन के और इसकी इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के. कौन सी पॉलिसीज़ हैं जो कि सक्सेसफुली इम्प्लीमेंट हुई हैं. यू शुड ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट एंड उसके बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए.
Sir.
चलें. ओके.
You have a very good personality, good communication skills, but sometimes when you're responding, it seems you've gone blank. That doesn't give a very good impression. You have to learn to focus because your pauses also are very long. It seems you take more time to gather your thoughts. That will come if you practice. So, जैसे बताया न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ें, उसमें points. When is your interview?
Ma'am, I have my psychological on 6th of Feb, and then tentative date would be after 15th, ma'am, 15th of Feb.
बेटा favorite personality, my father, my brother निकाल दो.
Sure.
Why? Why am I saying that? Because when you write my father, my mother, my brother, we all love our fathers and brothers and mothers. It only shows that you haven't developed your mind enough to think independent, that you're still in your dependent mind.
Okay.
Which doesn't reflect very good when you're in job competition. So think of a personality which is more neutral, which is well known, and less controversial. And if it is controversial, then you should be able to defend the controversy around that personality. So अभी अगर ये नहीं submit किया हुआ, review it, and hobbies, reduce them. Because this is your strength or this is your weakness. The more you write, the more trouble you'll get into. Take one and make it your strength. उस पे फिर सारी knowledge होनी चाहिए आपको. You can't say, I don't know where it started, maybe South Asia. Not like that. If it is your hobby to play chess, you should know the history of chess, how it evolved, how it changed from ancient times to modern times, what are the new rules, what is the difference, who are the champions, all those questions will come. So, अगर फिटनेस है, फिटनेस के ऊपर क्या आजकल साइंस है, डाइट पे क्या है, एक्सरसाइज पे क्या है, all those things will come. पोइट्री तुमने लिखी, कौन सी पोइट्री करते हो, इंग्लिश करते हो, उर्दू करते हो, और फिर उस पे सारा you open a whole Pandora's box. So pick one hobby and then go through it thoroughly. You have time. और वो साइकोलॉजिकल में भी यही, क्योंकि सबमिट करना है, सो लिमिट योरसेल्फ ऑन इट. अपनी वीकनेसेस को भी रिड्यूस करो. यू नो, irregular in prayers doesn't affect your job, does it?
Yes, ma'am.
So put in, you know, जैसे आपने कह दिया over spending money, food. ये number 2 भी frustrated, जैसे उन्होंने कहा, anybody would get frustrated if you have incompetent people around you or people who don't fulfill their commitments. So make a logical but not a kind of weakness that goes against you. ठीक है? Otherwise you're fine. You're a winning horse provided you focus. Don't go blank. Practice your responses and write things that you can defend here.
Sure.
Okay? Wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
हाँ, अब्दुल्ला, आपको ऑप्शनल सब्जेक्ट्स जो हैं उनके आंसर्स आपके बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छे नहीं थे. ठीक है, तो यू गो थ्रू आपका जो IR है, US हिस्ट्री है, क्रिमिनोलॉजी, इन सब चीज़ों के ऊपर जो है ना, वो जो पैनल आप बहुत क्वेश्चन कर सकते हैं. आपके आंसर्स लिटिल बिट हेजी थे, इतने मतलब बहुत करेक्ट नहीं थे. आप इनको अब ये कीजिएगा, यू हैव ए ग्रेट पोटेंशियल. आपने रिटन भी क्लियर किया है, आप IR पढ़े, आप लिटरेचर पढ़ चुके हुए हैं, तो आपके लिए ज़्यादा मुश्किल नहीं होगा. थोड़ा सा अपनी नोटबुक्स को अपने रिवाइज कर लीजिएगा, नोट्स को. ठीक है, अगर आपने ये कर दिया, और इंडो पार्क का आपका बहुत ग्रे एरिया है. हाँ, कोई बात नहीं, उनको दोबारा से आप रिवाइज कर लीजिएगा. ठीक है, थैंक यू.
Okay, thank you. Best
Wish you
of
all the
luck.
best.